Morning, welcome back to the diary. Thank you for choosing to join me. Nice early start this morning. Back on the commercial. See if we can get a few Crucians today. I've only had one proper Crucian session so far this summer, so I thought I'd give it another go. Much cooler this morning, which is nice. The heat wave up here in the northeast of England is a distant memory. We had a miserable, what the Scots would call dreich day yesterday. It's supposed to stay dry today, but as I say, much cooler, which is from a fishing point of view nice. I'm nearly finished getting set up. I've just made the first cast. One or two fish moving around as I fired in some pellets and things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll have a decent day. I'll be back to explain what I'm doing once I finish getting finish getting set up. Well, that's the first fish. Not what we're after, but a bream. Right, that's us sorted. We're fishing. I've started on the method feeder, no real surprise there. I'm going to alternate between ground bait and pellets on the feeder. I've a mixture of 4 and 2 mil pellets, and at the moment the hook bait is 2 grains of corn. No real surprise there. Those of you that follow my fishing have seen that combination many times. I started getting line bites almost straight away. The swim's a little bit tight. I've got beds of small leafed lilies. I'd like to be able to tell you what they are, but I haven't a clue. On both sides, and I'm fishing just off the edge of the left-hand bed of lilies. Now, Crucians being Crucians, they'll be in amongst the lilies before you know what's happened, probably. So we'll just have to see if I'm lucky enough to hook one, whether I can keep it out of the lilies. I said earlier that when I fired in some pellets there were fish moving around and swirling. I'm going to try and experiment at some point during the day. Obviously most of you that are regulars on here will know that I fish here quite often. It's sort of local to where I live. And on many days when we've fished here, particularly if you're fishing with maggot and a waggler or whatever, it's quite obvious that particularly when the sun's on the water, the fish come right up in the water. The roach and some particularly nice rudd right up in the upper layers. And I bought the pellet feeder kit. And I was going to experiment using maggot to see if I can catch some of these roach and particularly some of these rudd using the pellet waggler gear. I'm a novice as far as pellet waggler fishing goes. First session I ever experimented with it was a huge success. Fishing a water quite heavily stocked with carp. And I'd hardly been firing pellets in for, I don't know, 5 minutes, and it was away straight away. Good morning, and welcome back to the diary. Thank you for joining me. And welcome to what can best be described as a very experimental day, which all of a sudden has worked. So it'll be interesting to see if I can get in amongst these roach and rudd, assuming they come up onto the top. I mean, the weather today is going to be quite cloudy, so it may not be the right conditions, but if I see the chance, I'll give it a go, just out of interest's sake, to see what happens. So, lovely quiet morning. Wind's getting up a bit, but we're nicely sheltered. And I've just noticed that the resident buzzard family have fledged 2 youngsters. At least I've seen 2 so far since the last time I was here. So at some point, I'm sure you'll hear them in the background. Well, that's the first hour, and just the one skimmer. Loads and loads of liners and bites, but just the one skimmer. And I've just fired in some maggots, and there were a few splashy sort of rises on the surface. None of the bigger swirls that would suggest the better roach and rudd are up in the water yet, or in front of me. It's pretty cool. There's quite a strong cold breeze got up now, so I might have picked the wrong day for this experiment, but as I say, just the one skimmer. Well, that's 2 hours, just one bream. To be honest, my recent fishing has been an absolute disaster, really. Even when I've been back to places where I've done well, I've struggled. Just watch this. Those of you that are kind enough or patient enough to watch my previous video to the end, you'll have heard me say that the options for the next trip, were another visit to the urban park lake to see if I can get a carp, another visit back to the reservoir to see if I could improve on my recent new PB roach, and a knock-up match with some of my colleagues from South East Northumberland Pike Anglers Club. Well, I didn't go to the urban park, it was far too busy. And I combined 2 ideas to kill two birds, one stone. Is that the right way around? Yes. And so we've come back to the reservoir to see if we can catch a few roach, and in doing that have a knock-up match. There are 4 of us fishing, my 2 colleagues along here who seemingly are doing rather better than me, and the contrast between my last visit to the reservoir and today couldn't be greater. We've been fishing now for nearly 3.5 hours, and I still haven't managed to get my spot started. As I say, my 2 colleagues down here are catching the odd fish, but compared to my previous visit, it's a little bit dire, to be honest. two modest roach and two even more modest brown trout. Well, that was the first proper bite. It was a trout after all that. Brown trout this time. At last. We're getting there. We are starting to get there. Let's hope this is the sign of them starting to come on. It's still very, very slow. Another little brown trout. Okay. I've caught more small brown trout than I have roach. My two colleagues down here are certainly doing better than I am. Nice roach. Nowhere near as big as we want though. I've decided that when you put the word match together with the word fishing, that's the kiss of death as far as my results are concerned.
Pound off the net, yeah.
4 pound.
Yeah. 7, 7.12.
7.12.
Next one, mate. Well done.
1.5. Pound and a half.
Be a bit, but
And to avoid any further embarrassment, I'm not weighing in. So, all in all, bit of a disaster. and I really don't know why. And today doesn't look like it's, although it's early yet I suppose, but today doesn't look too promising either. I'll be really pleased when we get back to the pike fishing the way this is going. Nice little tench. It's been a long time coming. I've never known this place to be as slow as this. Well, that was the first proper bite. And it's what we're looking for, I think. Well, it took a long time. There's the first one. Sadly, this one's been in the wars. It's lost an eye. Let's hope there's a few more to come. Pellet waggler works. A hum in the weed. Can't believe this. Blooming great Crucian on the pellet waggler. After all the struggles I've had this morning using the feeder rod, 5 minutes with the pellet waggler, and you get one of those. Look at that. Yeah, goodness. Well, now I know it works, I'm going to continue with it. Just to show you what I'm doing. It's quite a big pellet waggler float, so it acts as a bolt rig, a swivel, and a size 16 barbless, set at about 2 feet. What I did was I fired in some maggots and then cast the rig in amongst where they were, and poof, that was it. A nice Crucian. We'll give it another go. I suspect that'll be another one. It is a nice one too. Wow. Perfect. Well, we're into the last hour, which hopefully gives us enough time for one more fish. Was that me being over ambitious, I wonder? Oh. Oh. I don't believe that. That's 2 I've missed. And that, well, you've just seen. I'd literally just cast that out. That's annoying. Having just said, time for one more fish. And that may well have been it. I'll have to try again. So, 2 fish and a missed bite in quick succession after a long morning of very little. So what changed? Well, the weather a little bit. It's certainly warmed up and it's got a little bit brighter. Oh, and I did change the hook bait. I went for a strawberry flavoured pellet on a bayonet, and I'm not sure whether I should share this next bit with you or not, to be honest, but I soaked the pellet in this stuff. I bought this for the trip down to Rosedale fishery for the carp competition, having seen a promotional video on YouTube. Now, regulars on here will know when it comes to additives, potions, oils and what have you, particularly on the pike fishing front, I'm extremely skeptical. You and the regulars on here will also have heard me say that I don't do reviews. I don't review tackle, I don't talk about the baits or whatever. I just basically tell you what I'm doing, and you can make your own minds up as to whether it's right, wrong, something you want to try, or something you wouldn't go near with a barge pole. So, as I say, I bought this stuff for the carp fishing down at Rosedale, and I just thought, I was sat here, nothing happening, and I thought, well, it can't do any harm, it can't get any worse, that's for certain. And so, as I say, I soaked pellet in sensate flavouring. Which one of those changes was provided the extra fish and bite? You tell me. I haven't a clue. I'm just very grateful that whichever change it was, has made all the difference to the day today, I have to say. Well, that's going to have to be it. Yep, that is going to have to be it. My fishing at the moment does feel like a bit of a struggle, to be honest. I'm not sure what to do next. I was completely dissatisfied with the way I fished at the reservoir the other day. I feel like I owe myself another attempt at that, just to see if I can catch some of those nice roach again, having failed miserably at the last attempt. And I've been watching the perch chasing the fry up on the surface here all day today, and it's a long time since I tried for a perch, so I might break out the prawns and lobworms and come back here and see if I can get a perch. But that's a bit of a challenge this time of the year, to be honest, so I just can't make my mind up. Wherever I end up, I hope you'll join me. Thank you for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll have a quick look at what we got today, and then that's it, on the road home. As I say, hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now.